power, speed, gender, any of those sort of physical differences. And so if she's able to land it on Kindaka,
But
right?
that's
Kindaka
stupid. No, but that's wrong, right? What she means by that is not in reference to whether she's able to react and utilize the ability in the first place. She's just talking about how can she distribute the weight when she's actually like doing this on a specific person. But we know that she's wrong.
we know that she's talking about what, it not being dependent on weight.
No, I didn't say that. I'm saying what she's saying is wrong because for one, it's not dependent on, or what she means is not, she's not talking about her ability to react to utilize the ability in the first place. What she's talking about is how she can distribute her own weight in respects to another, not weight, her own force and distribute like in reference to another person. And we see that that's wrong. Like we see with Kanaguri.
Yeah, so she can't lift Kanaguri because that's a different technique. You're not.
It's all over. It's all overarching with
About,
Aikido.
sorry,
There's two different abilities we know. We know the rotation principle.
Yeah, so the rotation principle is what I'm talking about. I'm going to send a scan to you about what it says, okay? Just give me a second. We're going to forward this to main chat. We're going to read it together.
Even if that's the case, why is that in reference to her ability to even react to you the ability in the first place?
So it says this, but that's my problem. My enemy won't wait for me to get strong. I have to use wherever I can. And then she says, with your hips as an axis, use a circular motion to deflect an attack. That way your core will be a stable, like a spinning top, will be easy to counter. If you determine the direction of the attacking energy, the strength, muscles, and gender won't matter.
That's the point. If you can determine why is she fast enough to like be able to utilize the ability in the first place, I think that's only in reference to her utilizing the ability. Because when she uses her axis of rotation, or at least any axis of rotation to do the rotation, she believes that once you actually get like contact, you don't like force on all that stuff or like muscles or whatever, it doesn't matter. But I'm saying she was wrong. And even if we take this to be a different application of the ability, I think Aikido just still has its own limitations. Like, why can she react to Kindaka?
Okay, so that's two things. So the first thing was if she can determine the direction of the attack. So do you know how high speed movement works?
What kind of question is that?
Okay, I'll explain it to you. So like we see that when Kindaka moves at particularly high speeds, right? He moves rectilinearly, which means that he moves in straight lines. Okay, when he moves at particularly high speeds. I'm not denying he can move at high speeds and zigzags, but his fastest is when he's moving in a straight line. Because every time you change direction, the initial force that you were going with has to be distributed. It has to be lost in order to change direction. Okay, so if it's true,
it's not completely lost, but sure.
So if it's true that Kindaka at his fastest is moving in a straight line, it would be damn easy to predict the direction of the attacking energy.
That's the claim, though, right?
Linear. Sorry, what?
That'd still be an issue because even Uzuki, he makes the claim after what's his name? Kindaka makes a beeline towards Sakamoto. Like Uzuki even states that you don't have to be able to perceive him with your eyes. If you can make a prediction based off the environment, that's how he was able to react. So like even with that type of movement, it would still not, you wouldn't still be able to say the claim that he was able to like perceive the movement. I don't think it's the same with Satoda.
I'm unclear on what you're saying here, right? What I'm saying is that all she needs to do is determine the direction of the attacking energy, and that's simple if he's moving in straight lines.
Bro, we see this again, and Uzuki says that it's still hard to be able to like perceive this. He says that you can't perceive it, or basically it boils down to him not being able to perceive it. He's saying that he can make the prediction. I'm pretty sure he says verbatim, you don't have to be able to see it with your eyes. You can just make predictions based on the environment or something along those lines.
That's somewhat along the lines what he says. He says you don't follow
a target. Either way, like if the idea is maintained, then all I'm saying is that he's acknowledging his inability to perceive the movement.
No, that's not true.
Saying he's making prove to me he can perceive the movement.
Sorry, so I'll show you that the JCC guys can perceive the movement. Is that what
no one can prove that? Yeah, all that.
Okay, I got you. Hold on. Unless you think like they aim dodged here.
Yeah, he thinks that. Thank you very much.
Wait, why can't I scroll on Discord? Hold on. Wait, hold on. I need to restart my app.
Yo, who's the band?
Me and this one low tier.
Oh my God.
Manny.
Nigga said me and this low tier.
Who's the band, Gizbo?
Oh wow. Nah, Gizbo would definitely be able to give higher quality arguments than this. Like, this is kind of embarrassing.
What is going on? What's with all the hate?
Yeah, that's crazy.
Randomly dick roll me and he sucks.
You think he's gonna have to start answering for all that random hate? Because these other niggas might not fight you, but I will.
Yanni, just give up.
So look, I'm gonna send this right here, and if the response to the scan is just that they aim dodge, then I'll just say, okay, that's fine. They can aim dodge. And it'll just be the case that they can still predict the direction of the attacking energy through aim dodging. So this is where Kindaka charges up. You know, they all try to dodge. Nagano gets tagged, but the rest of them are able to move in response.
Give me a second. Where is the statement?
Yeah, so
Oh, I wanted to know the order.
Leon says, here she comes, or here he comes, and then they all are able to respond to the movement.
Not them all being able to respond. And for one, like you wouldn't be able to prove that they didn't jump after he already grabbed Nagamo, because obviously Nagamo wasn't able to fully react to the movement, and also he just wasn't going full speed here, so that doesn't matter.
Sorry, so you're
Like
saying
the situation we talked about with the maximum speed beeline attack is completely different, higher gear. Like, come on, bro, keep up.
Wait, hold on. Sorry, you just keep on bringing two different things every time I give one thing.
I'm sorry. The conversation initially, I said whenever he was going for Sakamoto, it was a beeline attack, and the Uzuki statements in reference to him going gear max. You're talking about something completely distinct here. That's where you're lost.
So let me just bring you back to the initial point of conversation. The initial point of conversation is this: as long as Satoda can determine the direction of the attacking energy, she should, in theory, be able to use the rotation principle. Is that true or false?
No, that'd be false, because for one, we're not even talking about, or that would be assuming that Kindaka in the form he's fighting against would be like going this slow, or at least holding back to this extent. And even then, you with what you said about this specific instance, you couldn't prove that they didn't jump after he already grabbed Nagamo, and we see that he's not even able to fully react. Nagamo's not even fully able to get out of the way.
Okay, so look, first and foremost, let me just say this quickly. What I asked you was, in theory, if she's able to. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, it's really crazy when I ask you a question and then you don't answer the
Yes,
question.
the question was answered. You're just confused.
The question that I asked you was,
Please
if
keep
she's able to
apologizing.
determine. Sorry, the question I asked you was, if she's able to determine the direction of the attacking energy, then should she, in theory, be able to use the rotation principle in Kindaka? You said
Well, it's
no.
stated
What
that'd be
you're saying, hold
trivial.
on a
I'm
second.
talking about whether or not that's even possible, right?
Sorry. So what you're saying then? Sorry. So what you're saying then
I
is you're
forgive you.
disagreeing. Sorry. So what you're saying then is that you're disagreeing with the plain reading of the text.
No, I didn't disagree with the statement. I said the
I
statement would
wasn't
be
done.
trivial, obviously, but mind you, the initial questioning was whether or not
I
she can
wasn't
react
done
in the
there.
first
Sorry, I
place.
wasn't done there. Sorry, I wasn't done
You're
there. Because the
confused.
plain
Like,
is sorry, I
don't
wasn't done there. Sorry, I
make it
wasn't done
relevant.
there. Sorry, I wasn't done there. Because the plain reading of the text, Manny, is that if you can determine the direction of the attacking energy,
Obviously, oh my
then
gosh, you're so stupid.
sorry, I wasn't done there. Sorry, I wasn't done there. Right? Like we're gonna keep on doing this where I just cut you off whenever you try to interrupt me.
That's fine.
Until I get
I
to
don't
finish
think
my
your mic is
sentence.
louder than mine, so it
Right?
doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. I don't give a damn. I actually don't care. Okay?
Fine, like you're
If
lost,
you
so it
can
doesn't matter.
determine the
Like,
direction of the
We
attacking
got a
energy,
tough guy over here,
then
guys.
these things do not matter anymore. So when I asked you, should she be able to utilize the rotation principle, and you say no, you're disagreeing with the plain reading of the text.
No, I made it very clear multiple different times. I would agree with the statement because it's like true, right? Like obviously she states if she's able to perceive it, then she would be able to
That's
do
not
all
what
these
she
other
said.
things. What, mind you, she says if you're able to determine what's true of being able to determine the direction of something, you would have to be able to perceive it.
No, that's not true. That's completely
Wait,
false.
okay. In which way can you
Completely false.
determine something without being able to perceive it in some way, shape, or form? Mind you, perception
In
is not
your
only
own
limited to the
argument,
eyes either.
sorry, in your own argument, you said that Uzuki can't see Kindaka, but he's able to determine his movement through the surroundings. So
Based
you're just
off of
conceding
something
with your own.
external. We're not talking about the same situation,
Sorry,
nor is her
could
ability
Uzuki
to
perceive Kindaka? Yes
nor
or
is her
no?
spatial ability, mind you, we're talking about a different type of prediction, and nor like
Could
also
Uzuki perceive
you can never
Kindaka?
prove she has the exact same spatial awareness he does.
Could Uzuki look? I
His
don't care. You're
spatial
trying to
awareness
like
was already
look,
distinguished from other people because it's
I
so high.
don't care for this style of debating where you try to stack all of these different claims on me. I'm not gonna respond to a
I'm
single one
not
of them
what
until
you're
we finish with
bro.
this point.
That's you're
Okay.
making
So the
multiple
question
claims
that
and
I asked
responding
you,
to all the
sorry, I
claims.
wasn't done there. So the question that I asked you was, could Uzuki perceive Kindaka? Yes or no?
Uzuki perceived Kendaka? No.
Okay, so if your claim initially, which you said was, how are you supposed to determine the direction of the attacking energy if you cannot perceive the opponent? That's obviously false because Uzuki cannot perceive Kindaka by your own admission, and yet still able to determine the direction
But
of the text. That's
mind you,
one.
it's
Sorry, I wasn't done
you're
there.
being so
So let's
confused. It's
just
because
stack
of a
this up. Let's
specific
just stack this
ability
up.
external
Let's
to the
just stack
situation
this
we're
up.
talking about.
Let's just stack
You
this
can't
up.
prove
That's
that
one
same variable
point.
exists in the
That's one point
you
to
can't
see.
prove that same variable exists in the Satoda case. You can't prove that.
Sorry. That's one point to see. I hope you can see that because you just made
There's
a
no
concession.
concession there because
Right,
there's a
sorry,
variable that's true of
the
the
concession
situation
is a
we're
direct
talking
A
about
dot
initially
B.
and not true of
Right,
this situation.
you tried
There's
to
no
make the claim.
concession.
Sorry, you tried to make the claim. Sorry, you tried to make the claim in
You
this
suck.
point specifically. You tried to make the claim in this point specifically that you cannot determine the attacking energy without perceiving the opponent. And you can see that Uzuki is able to determine the
Mind
direction
you,
of
the
the
statement was
attack
never that vague. I don't
without.
think I've ever made the
Sorry.
statement that vague.
Okay, so sorry. Yeah, that's 1 point to me. Okay, what's the
That's
next
not
thing
one
you want me
point.
to prove?
I never made the
What's the
statement
next
that
thing you want me
vague,
to
mind
prove?
you.
What's the next thing you want
Mind
me to
you,
prove?
I never
What's the
made the
next thing you
statement
want me
that
to
vague.
prove?
We're obviously
What's the next
talking
thing
in
you want me
reference
to
to the
prove?
specific
What's the
scenario
next thing you want me to
where
prove? What's
Nagamo
the
and all
next
them
thing you want me
people
to
are
prove?
fighting. I'm saying no, this isn't always going to be the case because we see in certain scenario, at least when he's going gear
Uh-huh.
max, that even if it's a beeline attack, you're not always able to perceive it. I'm saying in the Uzuki case, that's extremely specific though, because there's a specific variable, that being his spatial awareness, that allows him to, independent of his perception of the moving target, get in the way. He literally says, like, what he says has no bearing on whether or not where Kindaka is. He just says it's very obvious. We can get the exact same statement, but based off the prediction you make of the environment, it's very easy to understand where someone's going to go. He says you don't follow a fast target with your eyes. You anticipate his moves based on his surroundings. Like, it's very simple. Like, you're very confused. Again, you're conflating multiple situations that shouldn't be conflated.
Okay, nice dialogue, mate. So now we're gonna go
Thank
into
you.
what burden that I supposedly have, because that whole gibberish monologue you just did has no bearing
Well,
on
you
what I
still haven't
said.
proved that Uzuki
Okay.
being able to perceive
Sorry,
emotions. That burden's still never proved, by the way.
sorry. I wasn't done there. So let's just recap, okay? So this whole conversation is related to the rotation principle, and you gave me two conditions for what I have to prove in order to show that Satoda can actually use this thing against Kindaka. The first thing was a false dichotomy. It was like either she can perceive him, right? And if she cannot perceive him, then it's not the case that she can use the rotation principle. And I disputed that because obviously we have characters that cannot perceive Kindaka, and you're able to determine the direction of the attacking energy. That's one. The
We're
second thing
confused.
you said,
That's not what we're talking.
sorry, I
That's not
wasn't
what I
done
said.
there. Sorry, I wasn't done
But
there.
you're already confused on what I'm talking
Sorry, I
about.
wasn't
You're
done there.
straw manning me.
Sorry, I wasn't done
You're
there.
straw
Sorry, I
manning
wasn't
the
done there.
argument,
Sorry, I
though.
wasn't done there. Sorry, I wasn't done there. Sorry, I wasn't done
You're
there.
talking about something
So
irrelevant. If you're going to straw man me,
now I want
then
you to
that's not the
tell
point.
me. Now I want you to tell me what reasons you have to believe, right, that Satoda cannot use the rotation principle. If we know,
No, that's a
right, number
burden flip.
one,
What the hell? That's a burden flip.
how's that a burden flip if I
I
already
initially
showed you?
questioned whether or not
Sorry,
you would have to prove that
how's
Satoda can
that a burden
react to
flip?
the
I already
movement.
showed you that
Because
Kindaka
mind you,
can
like I
both.
said before,
Sorry,
the
how's that a
statement you were
burden
using
flip?
to say
Sorry,
that
how's that a burden
she would
flip?
be
Sorry,
able to
how's that a
react to the
burden flip?
movement
Sorry,
is
how's
that
that
he
a
was
burden
saying
flip?
that the
I've
muscles,
already
you
shown to
wouldn't,
you. Sorry,
like,
how's
it
that a
doesn't matter
burden
the
flip?
strength or the
Sorry, how's
muscles of
that
the
a burden
person.
flip? Sorry, how's
If
that a
you can
burden flip?
predict the
Sorry, how's that a
attacking
burden
energy,
flip?
you'd be
Sorry,
able to
how's
get
that a
out of the
burden
way,
flip?
or at
Sorry,
least
how's that a
utilize the
burden flip?
rotation
Sorry, how's that a
principle.
burden flip?
I'm
Sorry,
saying
how's
that
that a burden
that
flip?
would be
When you've
that would
shown
be
to
only
me
in
that
respects to you being able to perceive
you
it
can predict
before you
deep fast
utilize the
moving
ability. We
characters.
talked about the straight
How's
line
that
attack,
a
and
burden
then that
flip?
was your burden to
I've already
prove because I already
demonstrated to
gave the
you that
specific
people can
case, that
predict
being Uzuki.
fast
You can never
moving
prove that Uzuki was able to
characters.
perceive the movement
How's
outside
that
just
a
making
burden
predictions
flip?
based on
If
the
I've already
environment
demonstrated
and
to you.
knowing an
How's that
obvious
a
target that
burden
is
flip?
there,
If I've
that
already
being
demonstrated
Sakamoto.
to you.
You're very
How's that a
confused. Would you like to
burden
go to
flip? If I've already
conclusions? Would you like to go
demonstrated
to
to you
conclusions?
that people
Because,
can
like, what the hell's
predict and
economy? Like, again,
determine
you're
the
just not
movement
charming
of
me. Would
fast
you like to
moving
conclude?
characters.
Would
I've
you
already
like to
demonstrated
conclude?
many
Would you like to
times to
conclude,
you.
C?
I've already
Would
shown
you
you.
like to
Sorry, I wasn't.
conclude?
Sorry, I wasn't
Fuck,
there. I
but it
wasn't
doesn't
done
matter
there.
if you're not down. You didn't let
So,
me
sorry, I
finish. We're
wasn't
gonna
done
not
there.
let you
Sorry, I
finish.
wasn't
Let's
done there.
conclude.
Sorry,
You
I wasn't
suck.
done
Let's
there. Sorry, I
conclude.
wasn't done there.
Let's conclude.
Yeah, I'm not gonna conclude because guess what? When
Let's
you overtalk people and
guess
prevent them
what?
from
Guess
giving
what?
their
What?
arguments, I'm
What?
just gonna sit
What?
here. Yeah, I'm gonna give him out. I'm giving my argument now. So
Yeah.
look, here's the thing, okay? So the thing that he tried to put into the question, which I asked him to just restate all of the
Not tried.
burdens.
I did put in a question.
Sorry, I wasn't done there. Sorry, I
I
wasn't done there.
forgive you.
Sorry, I wasn't done there.
I
So
forgive you.
what he put into question out of like the multiple things he tried to put into the question, which I asked him to restate, which he wouldn't, is that I have to
I
prove that
did. I
Satoda.
made it very
Sorry, I
clear.
wasn't
But
done
you
there.
weren't. You
Sorry,
were
I wasn't
talking.
done there. I wasn't done there.
That's fine. I forgive you.
Is that
But I
Satoda?
made it
Sorry,
very
I wasn't
clear what I
done
was
there.
putting in the
Sorry, I
question.
wasn't done
I
there.
made it
Sorry, I
clear in the
wasn't done
beginning of
there.
the
Sorry, I
debate,
wasn't
middle of the
done there.
debate, and
Sorry, I
towards
wasn't
the end of
done
this
there.
debate.
Sorry, I wasn't done there. Sorry, I wasn't
That's
done
too
there.
bad.
Sorry, I
That's too
wasn't done
bad.
there.
That's
So
too
one of the
bad.
things that he put into question was that I have to prove that Satoda is able to evaluate the surroundings to a similar, if not the same extent, that Uzuki is able to evaluate the surroundings. Right?
Yes, because
If not,
that's
sorry, I wasn't
presupposed
done
under your
there. Sorry, I
position.
wasn't done there. Like,
Yes,
why
I'm
do you
making it
think
very
look,
clear.
Manny, you're so afraid of
I'm
letting
not
somebody
afraid.
get
I've
out an
let you
argument.
speak
It's
multiple
such a
times. You didn't let me
desperate
speak. That's
attempt
fine.
to
I'm not
prevaricate
afraid of
and
anything because I
obfuscate
can
your
let you speak right
assumptions.
now,
And
respond
it's
to everything you're saying
embarrassing. It's
accurately.
embarrassing.
But I
Like,
don't want to
if we're
let
not
you
actually
finish.
engaged in a
That's what I'm doing.
conversation in a robust dialectic, what you're going to do is you're going to stop
In a robust
talking. You're going to
dialectic,
let
just
your
use
opponent
English
engage in
language. Just
discussion.
use
Because
English
it
language
seems
that's
if what you're
easily
doing here,
digestible.
is
Just
you're
use
just over
English language that's
talking
easily
and you're
digestible.
trying to
This doesn't
prevent
make you
your
look good in
opponent
the
from giving a
conversation.
reasoned rebuttal. And it's embarrassing. Honestly, it's a desperate attempt
I have
to
given a reason
prevaricate and run
rebuttal
away.
multiple times.
Right? Are you going to let me
You
respond
just
or
keep
no?
making these very
Are you going to
arbitrary
let me respond or
presuppositions to your
no?
argument, to which
Are
you
you
have
going to
yet
let
to
me
prove, by
respond
the
or
way.
no? Are you gonna let
I
me
already
respond or no?
responded to everything. Like I said before, we can go to
Okay,
conclusions.
if you
You're very
responded to
confused.
everything, just mute your mic and let me respond now, because I've let you respond. I'm not scared of what you have to
Did
say.
you?
You just
Did
spout
you?
gibberish from your mouth.
Did you? Did you?
Anyways, so to respond finally, if he's gonna let me, he'll just
Finally.
say,
Oh yeah. So you didn't respond. Nice concession.
so I didn't say I respond. I said that I've already let
No,
you
you said to
respond. You
finally
can't do
respond.
that.
That means you didn't respond initially. Nice
Sorry,
concession.
sorry, sorry, sorry.
I
I
know you're,
can't
I know
respond
you're
if you keep
sorry. That's
talking over
fine. And
me.
you're very
You
confused as
can't
well.
let me give an argument. This is
I
embarrassing.
can.
This is embarrassing.
You're embarrassing.
Okay. So take 5. Okay, I was trying to give this argument.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah, you can count. Well done.
You
So
just told me to take 5.
supposedly the argument is supposed to be that, the contention is supposed to be that Satoda may not be able to evaluate the surroundings to the same extent that Uzuki is able to. And if that's not true, then obviously it's the case that, we can't say that because Uzuki can do this thing, that Satoda can do this thing. But Manny doesn't know that there's like a string of evidences I've shown to show that people can predict movement based on environmental, not just Uzuki.
Like what? What's the string?
For example, right, I sent a scan before where Rion is able to predict that Kindaka is going to come, right? When he's getting into the stretches and whatnot. And then he sent a response to this, right, which he didn't want me to respond to. He sent a response, oh, what if they just jumped after Naguma was
I said you
grabbed?
couldn't prove that they
But that
didn't.
doesn't make any sense. Sorry, that wasn't done
It
there. That
does.
doesn't
What's
make
the
any
contradiction?
sense. That doesn't make any sense because
What's the contradiction?
it doesn't make any sense because it's stated that Rion is faster than Naguma and has better eyes than Naguma. So how was Naguma perceived and
Well, that
reacted?
doesn't matter. That doesn't defeat what I'm saying.
Sorry, I wasn't done there. How is
I'm saying in
Naguma
the
perceived
specific
and
instance that
reacted
wouldn't
to
matter
Kindaka?
because she could still jump
I
after. It
wasn't
doesn't
done there.
matter.
How is Naguma
Being
Okay,
faster than
perceived?
Nagama
Sorry, I
does not
wasn't
mean you
done
meet
there.
the
How is
requirement.
Naguma
That's
perceived?
stupid.
Sorry, I wasn't done there. How is Naguma perceived
You're
and
making
reacted to
multiple points, but
Kindaka?
you were mad that I
Looking
was
at
making
somebody
multiple
who is
points.
faster than them and stronger than them, right? Well, not stronger than them,
What you would
faster
have
than
to
them, has
prove is
better
that
eyes
her
than them,
being faster
right?
in terms
That's
of
the
how
thing
she
in
can
terms of
perceive
the fact that you
information,
having your
it's
hypothesis,
fast
and that's
enough
why
to
I
clear the
deny it.
gap that
The
Kindaka
second
already
thing, sorry,
has
I
on them.
wasn't done there. Sorry, I
He's
wasn't
still
done
a
there.
perception
Sorry, I
blitz
wasn't
level
done
faster
there.
than these characters.
The second thing that he tried to disprove is that, oh, Uzuki, has this sort of thing, and maybe Satoda doesn't have this thing. Where do you think Uzuki learned how to fight from? Right, he learned how to fight from Alkmaar, and the Alkmaar is just an offshoot of the JA made to create order level combatants. So if they're receiving order level training, and guess what, Satoda was an order level combatant. They were made to be order level combatant, or said to be somebody that could join the order, right? We can make an abductive case that all people that had this sort of ability of being order level or around that sort of scope had this sort of ability. And that's why Sakamoto, at the end of that fight, is able to evaluate the surroundings and use the surroundings, and he then reaches order level. Same with Uzuki.
It doesn't
Rion also
matter.
has a similar
Like
ability
the,
as
the
well,
conclusion,
right?
if the attempt is to be order level. That doesn't mean everyone has to reach it in the same way, or at least a similar way. Like
I
people
don't
fight
guess
very
that doesn't
distinguished.
respond. That doesn't
That
respond.
does respond because, like I was saying before, it doesn't matter if Satoda is order level or at least at a baseline order level, or if the Uzuki was trained at Alkmaar. Mind you, that doesn't matter. He has a very specific thing that's highlighted to be specific. I'm pretty sure by Kindaka, and he himself would probably have an accurate gauge to what Satoda and other people in the JAA can do. But he's someone who shines in terms of his spatial awareness because he can make these type of predictions to which no one else can make, or at least seemingly no one
That's
else
not
can make.
true. That's not what's stated. That's just
Okay,
fucking
show me
reading
the
into the
statement.
text. Yes, I'll send it to you. You can't read. It's really sad.
Totally,
Okay, we're gonna read it together, guys.
please.
Nah, that makes it kind of gay, bro. I can't lie.
Yeah, reading together is gay. Yep.
I mean, it's your
Yeah,
life,
go
bro.
get him, C. Go get him.
All right, let's go. So I'm gonna send a statement, guys. I'm not sure if my opponent here can read, so I'm just gonna read out for him.
God damn.
So this is chapter 111. And here's what Kindaka says. Okay, so just to be clear, my opponent said that Kindaka seems to imply this is something that only Yuzuki can do, right? And that's just not what the statement implies. What the
That's not
statement
what I
says is
say.
that he's not just good at evaluating the surroundings, he's got no fear jumping right in front of me and my speed, right? So he's not saying, what he's not trying to communicate to the audience is that, oh, Uzuki's the only sort of person that can do this thing, or this is something unique to Uzuki globally. It might be unique to Uzuki within the trio, right? But it's
I
not unique
never
to
said
Uzuki
this is
globally,
exclusive. That's where
right?
you're just so confused. Like I
Yeah,
never said it
I'm
was
so
exclusive.
confused. So do you wanna
Yes, yes, yes.
respond?
Yes, I promise you, I never said this is exclusive to Uzuki. I'm just saying Kindaka's highlighting him as someone who stands out from the rest, and I definitely said seemingly idiot. So like I was saying before, that's not even the statement I'm talking about. I'm pretty sure the statement is after they meet up at a specific place and then they regroup in terms of how the cars are positioned. I'm pretty sure he just highlights because he has very like good spatial awareness. And even the statement you sent doesn't really defeat what I'm saying. Like I said, he's not just good at evaluating it. Good would be something which you would categorize above the norm. Like I'm saying before, he would be above the norm, stop being retarded, or at least the norm in respects to people he's seen or he has knowledge of.
So yeah, he can be
I'm not
above
following the
like
statement though.
so I
Huh?
don't agree. So yeah, so if I can respond.
Yeah, I'm telling you,
So
repeat the first thing you said. I can't hear you.
I didn't get to say anything, right?
You
All I
did
said
say
was
something.
that I got like 3 words of a sentence out. Don't worry,
Don't
okay?
repeat it. Don't repeat it.
Okay, so the 3 words of the sentence I got out was when he says, okay, and then I was gonna continue. So when he says that he's not just good at evaluating the surroundings, and you're trying to say that he's seemingly singling him out as unique, either I don't really care about your seemings, I can have like opposing seemings, and it doesn't really change anything.
Doesn't matter. Your
I can
seamers could
even
just not
say
track.
I don't
That's
care,
fine.
I don't care, I don't care.
You're like,
I
what?
could
That's
even
obviously
say
what's in question, dummy.
I don't care. I can just have opposing seemings and say that he's not singling him out, right? But look, I'm not bad faith, and I understand that Uzuki has an ability that we don't see amongst the other three, which is Nagumo, Rion, and Sakamoto, at least at this point in time. But what I disagree with is the fact that this is something that's unique to Uzuki in a global sense. Whether
I
you said
never
this
said
or
that.
not,
So
whether
again,
you
you're
said, hold
attacking
on, I
something
wasn't done.
irrelevant.
I wasn't done. I never said Manny said this and I disagree. I said I disagree. And it
Well, then
seems
what's the point of
in order
bringing it
for
up?
your argument, sorry, it seems if in order for your argument to hold any impetus to what I'm saying, you'd have to be saying it's in a global sense. Because
That's not
okay,
true.
sure, right? Sorry, I wasn't done there. Sure, right?
You're
Kindaka is
confused already,
able,
though.
sure, right? Kindaka is able to say that Uzuki's unique amongst the trio insofar as he possesses this ability. That's perfectly fine. But if there are other people that we can make abductive cases for having this ability, i.e. Satoda,
Like
then it wouldn't
who?
make any sense. Sorry, I wasn't done there. Sorry, it wouldn't make any
That's
sense
presupposing.
to say
That's
that
presupposing
Kindaka
she can perceive the
is
movement.
signaling out
That's
youth.
all in the
I'm going to
presupposition.
repeat the argument one more time for why Satoda has this ability, okay?
Yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah. Without presupposing your view again.
Alkmaar, right, is trained by the JA. The people in Alkmaar are trained by the JA, okay? And they want to make order level combatants. And Uzuki learned how to fight in Alkmaar. And so we have good reason to believe that this sort of thing that he's learnt, evaluating the surroundings, not fighting a fast target with your eyes, these are all things that he's learnt from Alkmaar. Right? And if that's true,
Why? Why?
then
That
we
doesn't
know
make any sense.
where else would he learn it from if he
Why,
grew up in
why,
Alkmaar and he learned how
why
to
does this
fight in
have to be a
Alkmaar?
learned ability? Why does this have to be a learned ability? Why can't he just be special in the same way a cow is special with specialized? Like, why does that have to be learned? Or at least learned from the JA? Especially since we know that no one else, if you yourself has agreed that Uzuki has something that is distinct from what Nagamo, Akao, and Sakamoto has, and they're all trained by the JA as well. And presumably the JA is trying to make order levels and order level people in general, hence why they're training them in the first place. They're trying to
That's
make
not
the
true.
assassins as strong as possible. So what's the point of making assassins if the assassins don't surmount to anything?
Sorry, so that's a different claim. When I said that's not true, what that was in response to. Also, I need to respond to the two other points you made in that
Just, bro,
monologue.
just
But
attack the
what you
point, bro.
said, sorry, I
Yeah,
wasn't done
stop
there.
running away.
So what you said initially was that the point of the JAA, typically the JCC, I should say, because that's where the three students are from. The
Oh
point
my
of the
gosh.
JCC is
Oh
to
yeah,
make order
JCC, my
level
fault.
combatants, and that's not true.
Presumably so, yeah.
The point of the JCC is not to make order level combatants. The point of the JCC is to train people in how to be assassins, right? The point of the
Assassins
Alkmaar, sorry,
of
I
no
wasn't done
merit?
there.
Of no
Alkmaar,
merit?
sorry, I wasn't done there. Sorry, I wasn't done there. Alkmaar is stated to be distinct insofar as they took orphans, or not just even orphans, but people that were just sent there by their parents and family. Like, for example, that one guy that has clairvoyant Shin, I think his name is. They sent people like that in order to specifically make them order level combatants. So there's obviously a difference there between the two
No, order
facilities,
level with
right?
no emotions. There's an added thing there. There's an additive. It isn't just order level. It's order level with no emotions. They don't do that same thing for the JA people.
Then
We
this
only
doesn't
see
change
it's being
anything.
that does change something because you would say that since there's an additive in terms of what you would prescribe to that specific situation, then that would still be fine for this situation. They could still be trying, or one of the main goals of the JCC is to make people who are at least notable enough to join the order. Hence, I feel like that's kind of the purpose, right? Like if you have a very high level group and then you say that this group is in charge of like everything else, or at least the disturbances in the JCC, the JAA world, or the assassin world, you would want to make as people as strong as possible so they can attain this type of role.
Oh my
So like
god.
it's just
Okay,
pretty simple.
look. So the whole additive point just sort of fails, right? Because an
It
additive
does.
to what exactly? Like when we say something's an
The,
additive, we say, sorry, I
the
wasn't done
motivation.
there. I wasn't done there. Look, you're
You
already
just
like
asked the
trying to cut
question.
me off. It's so embarrassing. Right? Just
You
stop.
asked the question.
When we say that it's an additive, what that's meant is that there is a base proposition, right? And then we add something on later to that base proposition. But as it pertains to the JCC, there is no base proposition. There isn't a proposition that the JCC is made to make order level combatants, and then the additive that we're
Why?
adding on, as in respect to Alkmaar, is that Alkmaar is made to make order level combatants. Additionally, with no emotions, there is no base proposition that's stated there. That's once again something you're
It doesn't have to be
reading into the.
stated.
Sorry, I wasn't done. I wasn't done. That's something once again that you're reading into the text, right? The additive, right, seems to be that the purpose of the JCC is to train assassins in such a way that they are competent enough to undergo missions for the JCC. There isn't a direct goal of making order level combatants. That's not something that's ever implied. That's just something you're reading in and trying to abductively argue for by
That's
saying,
fine. You
oh well, they
abducted
want
as
to make
well.
assassins that are as strong as possible, right, or something like that.
That's fine.
But the Order are a minority. They are very small. right? People that join the order or have unique traits and sort of things like that. But typically, the people that are within the order aren't in the order because they trained in the JCC. The only person that has that sort of trait is Hyo. And so, because of this, it makes no sense to say, oh, well, they wanted to make order of combatants in the JCC. That's just not what's implied or stated at all.
Mind you, again, you're kind of harping on the fact that I made the abduction, but if you have an issue with me making the abduction and saying that that's not valid because I'm reading into the text, that's literally what you did like 4 other times. So we could just dismiss that. Like if
When did I
what you're
read
trying to
into the
dismiss from
text?
you said multiple different times that you abducted something, and what you said you use abducted synonymously with reading into the text. So I'm taking that exact same thing and
Wait,
flipping it on you.
no, no,
Like
no,
I
no,
was
no,
saying
no.
before, though, like I said, like even if we take that base proposition thing, that doesn't matter. It doesn't need to be stated specifically. This is the JCC's purpose. I'm saying that you would presume something like that because what is the point of making people of no merit, or at least no merit, in terms of like fighting against people? Because like the assassin word is to be effective and do specific things so they can make money or whatever. That being taking out targets or whatever. And if they want to take out targets, why would they not want to do it in the most effective way as possible? To make it extremely effective, you would try to train people to be as strong as possible. If you just train people to like a very, very low or arbitrary baseline, then I don't see the purpose of it at all, nor do I see the purpose of trying to recruit people into the order in general. If you admit that people in the order have very specific or unique capabilities, I think that would kind of agree to what I'm saying about people having abilities that aren't trained, rather they're just like specific to how they fight. I would say the same just applies to someone like Kozuki. So like with the base proposition thing, that's irrelevant. That's fine. It could be true of both the JCCs and the orphanages. Motivation to create order level people, but because that additive exists, that being in the orphanage, they want people who are emotionless. Then you wouldn't. There's no issue with using this interpretation that I'm using for the JAA. Yeah, because you were saying before that if both of these situations, taken under the interpretation that both of these like interpretations, they wanted to make order level fighters, then there would be no point of the orphanage or whatever. I'm saying if there would be a point if you have the added thing that being making them emotionless as well.
Yeah, so I'll just like make a little parody of the argument here. So the argument that Manny's trying to make is, the JCC want to train assassins, and they want assassins that are really strong, right? So they can undergo missions, and so they'd give them the training that's as strong as to make them as strong as possible, and that would include order level training. Um, Now the parody that I'm going to make of the argument, just for you to see the ridiculousness of the assertion, is to say, people in schools, right? Like I don't know, high school, like middle school, they want to make students as smart as possible. And so they're going to teach them, I don't know, university, PhD level content. Like it doesn't make there's no correlation. That's
Well,
not
that's
how,
stupid.
sorry, I
That's
wasn't
not
done
what I'm
there.
saying.
I wasn't done there. That's not how education works at all. Yes, it is true perhaps to say that, students or teachers want to make their students as strong as possible, as smart as possible, whatever. But that's not mean necessarily that you must teach them every single thing possible under the curriculum. You teach them what you think they can do, right? You teach them what you think they are capable of, right? And if it's the case that they believe that the majority of the JCC are not capable of becoming order level combatants, they're not going to teach them order level things. Right. The same way, if I don't believe that my kindergartners are going to be able to comprehend calculus, I'm not going to teach them calculus. If I want my kindergartners to be as smart as possible in some loose sense of the word. Now, the difference is that in Alkamar, there's 2 goals. And in Alkamar, those 2 goals are they want to make order level combatants, and they also want to make emotionless killing machines. And so if they want to make order level combatants, we have a direct reason for them teaching the sorts of things that order level combatants do. So the same way order level combatants can evaluate surroundings well, is the same way that they would try to teach them those skills and teach them those traits and those qualities. Okay. So that's the argument. As opposed to the JCC, we cannot say that they teach them these order level skills because we don't know if they think that they're capable of doing those skills. If they don't think they're capable of doing those skills, teaching them those skills would be a waste of time. Okay. And this all ties back into the relevant main point, because the point I'm trying to make here is that Uzuki likely learned his ability to interpret and evaluate the surroundings from his Alchemar training. Okay. And you said, why can't it just be a talent or a trait that he was born with? The reason why is because when there are talents or traits that people are born with, it's usually stated that these are talents or traits. It's like, for example, when Akao, like you brought up, Akira Akao fights Satoda, they say that she has a talent or a knack for killing. Okay, so it's directly stated that the killing eyes is just a knack that somebody has. However, it's not stated that Uzuki stuff is or no, it's not even implied that it's something that's talented. You're just saying, well, what about if it's a possibility? I don't really care about the whataboutism. So yeah.
Okay, yeah, a few things like, and then after this we can conclude. Like, I don't, you suck. So like with the first thing that you said, that would okay. That would assume, or at least what you said about the training that they would undergo or whatever, that would assume it is necessary to give them this high, extremely high level to where you would assume that that's the end goal. Like in this case of like the education or whatever, you would assume that PhD level work is the end goal of people who are extremely high level in terms of their education or their career. So I'm saying that would assume that they would give any high school or any middle schooler that level of work immediately, assuming that that would grant them the exact same level that these PhD people. No, obviously they would work up to that point, and I would say that's the same thing for the training. When they start off, obviously they don't get extremely high level training. They work up, and then people get better and better and better until they can achieve that. So that was really stupid. Also, what you were saying assumes that they if I'll take that interpretation, that assumes that they have a baseline of training, that being like that very high level of training. And I'm saying that wouldn't even make any sense because for everyone, they would have to do that. They would have to look at the way they fight in order to assess their skills individually. Then they would be able to pick out who was talented. But prior to them even knowing that they were talented, they would still get a similar amount of training, that being a low amount of training. And then people who shine in terms of that low amount of training would obviously be people who are considered talented. That was also retarded. You also said they the Alkamar people, they teach them specific skills. Again, that's just something you're assuming. We do not know that. We do not know that there's a specific category of skills that they would say that every order member like actually needs, instead of it just being general. And then order level people just utilize those specific skills to a high extent, and that be because of their training and their progression being better than everyone else's. Also, you were saying that they would have the same motivation. Oh yeah. That's kind of what I was talking about before, like them just having the same motivation to train the same things prior to them, understanding how strong they were or whatever. Because they were still normal people, even in the Alkamar thing. It would make no sense for them to immediately use this high level of training to random kids who were just brought here, and not use that exact same training for the people of the JCC. Because right now, I don't see anything that distinguishes those people from these people prior to them even understanding that they're like they have high potential in the first place, or at least are talented in any meaningful regard. They're just people who came to be assassins, and the other scenario are people who are like I think maybe taken and trained to be assassins. Either way, like that would be stupid. And then you talking about you saying that talents or traits are usually stated. That being a cow, and it was stated that she's talented because of her eyes, like something about that. I don't know. I think I just disagree. I forgot exactly what you said. But I remember my contention being that I think she's only talented because of the eyes, and it's not really like converse to that. Like it wouldn't be she's talented and that's why they say that her eyes are special. It's because her eyes are special that she's talented. We see this with Akira. Like there's no indication that she's like extremely talented before she unlocks her eyes or does something specific in which Sakamoto is able to pick out her movements and compare it to a cow because of her special eyes. Like even Kindaka points it out, says that she has special eyes, and she can see killing pathways to a higher level than other people. And I think that's just something she's probably born with. Because everyone can see the killing pathways. I'm pretty sure that's stated. They just do it to a high level. And again, like your response can be whatever it is. I'm done talking to you.
Yeah, so I'm only going to respond to two things. The first thing is the whole talent thing. Like I said, the instance of talent that we have, it's hereditary. So like it states that the eyes are a characteristic of the Akao family. I don't think it's a coincidence that the two people in that family both have the eyes. So talent, when there is a statement about talent, it's usually hereditary. I don't think it's ever been an instance where they use the word talent for somebody in the Sakamoto Days series and they're talking about something that they acquired. However, they do use the word hard work opposed to talent for people like Hyo. So they say like, oh, Hyo, he didn't have the natural talent that the other order members had for killing, but he just worked hard and stuff like that. And that's how he gained it. So it would seem as if talent is something that you're born with and hard work is something that you nurture. Additionally, right, we could just like evaluate the claim about the JCC immediately. And we could say something like this. We could say, okay, let's just suppose for a second that they're building them up to be order level fighters, okay? So the first year they learn some stuff, the second year they learn some stuff, the third year they learn some stuff. And at the end of their education, when they graduate, they should have been taught the skills that would be conducive to them being order level fighters or something along those lines in some way. We can just compare the amount of students that have graduated from the JCC and the amount of order level fighters that have graduated from the JCC, and then we can compare the amount of people that have graduated quote unquote from Alkamar and the amount of order level fighters that Alkamar have produced. So you look at the JCC, there are like countless students that have graduated from the JCC that are not order level, right? If you look at Alkamar, it's almost as if there's like a great sample of people that have graduated from Alkmaar that are able to tag and wrestle with order level people like Harima, what's the other guy's name? Tenkyu, um, Uzuki, Gaku, etc., etc. It seems if there's a lot of people within Alkmaar that graduate at an order level and order capacity, which implies it's either A, they're just really fucking good at like finding people that have the genetic order level gene or whatever, or B, they just teach them how to fight as order level fighters. And I don't know which one you think is more likely, but it would seem as if there's a higher sample of JCC people, they would also be able to pick up on these people with this order level gene. But we just don't see the same proportion of people graduating from JCC as order level fighters. So you don't have to respond to that if you're tired of the conversation. I think you ran out of energy sparking. We could just like conclude here and like, I don't know. I think this conversation was pretty like straightforward and easy.
Do we have to conclude? Like it's in the recording.
You don't have to conclude if you don't want to, but I'll conclude. So like in conclusion, I entered the dialectical crucible of Manny, and he immediately began to, shout at me and stuff. And I was just trying to hold on tight for dear life. I was like holding onto the pole, and the waves were trying to take me over. And somehow, he just like stopped spurging. And then I think that's where I really got my time to shine. I gave the arguments for why I think that, Satoda being an order level fighter would imply that Satoda has these sorts of traits because the Alkmaar people train these children to emulate the order. And so if there are traits we observe in the Alkmaar people, it's likely that they got these traits from being trained like the order people have. And so Uzuki having this trait would imply that Uzuki was trained to have this trait as opposed to being born with this trait. Because there's just no implication that that's true. Whereas there's like great implication for them training these guys to be order level fighters in Alkmaar. And so if that's true, Satoda can evaluate the surroundings. She has a rotation principle, so she can predict Kindaka. She has a direct wing con. Kindaka cannot tag her because his speed, muscle, strength don't matter. QED, quad, demonstratum, Satoda above Kindaka.
What was that last stuff you just said? Like, what was extract? What was that?